Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, and it is time for my monthly PSA. I am going to give you a secret. The probably, is it the best kept secret? I don't know. I feel like sometimes it is, but it's also the most obvious not secret that's also a secret. The most obvious not secret in the entire game, and that is, if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, it is win your flank, and if the other flank's in trouble, go back. Stop feeding the campers. All right. That being said, that's the very simplistic thing about it, or the very simplistic way to describe it. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 examples here. Am I saying that if you win your flank and you automatically go back, you will always win? Absolutely not. Am I saying in these particular games, if I'd had more help going back, we would have won? I'm not saying every one of them would have been won. What I'm saying is you will win more than you lose, because right now you're losing because of this. And especially if you are the person that keeps on trucking. Most people are decent, once they get some experience, on figuring out where to take their tank, where's maybe the best place, the place they're most comfortable, the flank they want to fight on. So that's the decision at the beginning of the game that we all make. A lot of people are pretty comfortable with that, win or lose. The problem is when they win that flank, they make bad decisions from there. And if they would stop making bad decisions after winning their flank and make good decisions, their win rate will go up. I guarantee if you are a 50% player and you take this and you implement it in your gameplay, you will increase your win rate. Now, I used to say you'd automatically increase it by 5%. I don't know, but it's going to be more. Also, too, and in addition to, let's pretend you do this, but it doesn't increase your win rate. I guarantee it will increase your damage, and most importantly, it will increase your enjoyment of the game. You're going to last longer. You're going to feel like you have more control over the game, more control over your matches, and actually you are going to increase your win rate, basically. All right. So the general idea here, as I said, is win your flank, assess what's going on in the match, go back if the other flank's in trouble. Does it have to be directly back to your flank or back to your cap? Not necessarily. What I mean by that is essentially stop pushing the flank you're on and feeding their campers. There are obvious caveats to that. If both flanks are winning by miles, then by all means, keep on pushing. If you count noses and you realize that there isn't anybody at their cap, sometimes cap pressure is good on the other team to relieve some of the pressure on your cap. Howsoever, I would say that the vast majority of the time you need to go back and stop the flank or stop the push into your cap. All right, let's look at this one. You've been staring at it for a while I yappity yap. Check out down here in the mini map. As soon as I get control of this situation, here we go. We'll make it largy for you. Just take a gander. What's happening here? Well, fairly even match. It's 4-4. We do have some guys to clean up here. We've got 4 tanks. Unfortunately, our AC-48 is sort of YOLOing in there, but he's giving us an opportunity while doing so, which is going to let us get up in here and start cleaning these 2 fellers up right here. I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Obviously, over on the east side of the map, we have a situation developing over there, right? T95, IS-3A, push in here, we'll back out. There goes Mr. Oho. Holy cow, how fantastic was that? A little bit of teamwork makes the dream work, and we've cleaned up this flank other than the Char Futur. Break, what do you do now? I say you go back. I say you go back and you help try to stop this push into your cap. You have some Campalama Ding Dangs sitting around back here. Tiger never really got into the game. The FSV is doing what fast mediums do, trying to move around and do things, so he's over there. You have a Stare hanging out in the back, and then you've got the 4 active players, to include the VZ44, 5 active players over on this side of the map. Do we just keep pushing into their campers? 2 already, a JP, a Scorpion, and the Char Futur. No. They're going to be back there, guys. The Scorpion, he could be over on the other side, but the Scorpion and the JP, these are players that are hanging out in the back. they're not going to do anything anytime soon. What we need to do is take care of the most immediate problem, and that is what's going on back at the cap. Now I want you to watch our push: the AC-48, the E50, and the OHO. Looks like maybe the E50 is having second thoughts. And fantastic. All right, so we got to look at Mr. Oho. He's taking hits from someone he can't see. Commandante is moving in there. The AC is a little bit trapped, unfortunately. The AC says the Char is camping in the back, probably. Probably. So leave. Maybe he feels pinned down, but work it out, man. Try to get away from that. Disengage. Don't push. Let's go back here and clean up the guys that are coming in from this direction. So here comes the E50, fantastic. And I'm just going to timestamp forward and we'll see how this goes as we have the AC-48 who's trapped. And the OHO is now going alone. And this is something else to think about, guys. Even if you look at it and go, all right, I assess, Guido, you're wrong. I assess we need to push because we have an advantage. And maybe there's only 2 guys back there. Maybe I can catch out the Char and get the Artie. Unlikely, but all right, for the sake of argument, let's say maybe that's the thought process. It's only you, man. You know what I'm saying? So think about that first, and then don't go pushing in. And unfortunately, he drags along the AC-48 with a little bit of that charging energy. Looks like he's trying to help him out, but we'll just watch the OHO as he just gets mullered by these guys. Now imagine the AC had come back and the OHO to help us. We'll timestamp. He's still fighting. He's doing what he can. He lasted a lot longer than I thought he would, to be honest. I'm getting bad shots. The Char is hanging out in the middle. He's schwacking on the OHO as well. The AC-48 is now dead. Not good. Timestamp forward. E50 died, but he died pushing in there. Got a little crazy. And now we're in big trouble, right? It's 7-9. They've got some big dogs left. I'm the biggest tank left on the board at Tier 8. They have a Char, a T95, an auto-loading IS-3, yada yada. Scorpion hasn't even been seen. And that whole push, the whole middle thing, turns into a complete disaster. And it's basically over. All right, next example. All right, second example. Let me just say a little bit more about that last one. It's not a case of I wanted the OHO and the AC and all of us to rush down to cap and sit on cap or to push into the other side. If it was an organized game and we had enough speed, that would not be a bad idea. But in a pub match, probably that's not on the table. What I would have loved to have seen is him not push into them and maybe hang out on that hill and be the guy looking for the Char potentially to come back in, because that was a fast enough tank. He was active enough that if he saw all of us pull from that flank and he knew the other flank was pushing, which he did because that was his team, or should have anyway, then he might try to sneak up around behind us. So it's not necessarily a case of just contract all of your lines and go huddle at the cap, but it's make smarter decisions than to rush into the Char and the Scorpion and the JP and the 2RD, yada yada. So I hope you understand what I'm getting at right there. And the faster tanks can move back and do their thing. Or maybe the AC disengages and comes back and helps us. Something other than feeding the campers. All right. El Haloufdorf is a great example of this concept. It is really easy to, well, it's not easy necessarily to win this spot, but it's easy to, after you win it, make a bad decision to continue to push in to what would be their cap if it wasn't a encounter mode, but is their spawn with their Campalama Ding Dangs and the guys in the middle. Plus, we're getting a little bit thin over here. We got the Progetto, we got the Iron Arnie. Thanks, Iron Arnie, for camping. Fantastic. The Udez and the Su-130. Pretty much peanut butter spread right here, right? Looking like a fairly even game. It's 5-4. We have won this corner. We're going to come over here and beat up on this T53. Now he dies, and look what we got going on. The IS-3A pushes down to the cap and dies. The 100-01 pushes down to the cap, and he is soon to die. The ELC even 90 pushes back into the background right there, which is a horrible idea for an ELC even 90. I think he does abort that here fairly quickly. And all of a sudden, we've taken a great situation. I mean, imagine the 100, the IS-3A, and there was actually one other tank that died right after that as well. I think the BZ-176 potentially, or maybe the Pershing. Imagine if once we won that flank, they hadn't all rushed forward and down the hill, right? And that's the victoryitis that people get in this game. When they win a flank, they're like, oh, breakthrough. You know, I'm Patton. Okay, I'm frickin' Guderian, I'm whatever, you know, I'm breaking through, baby. You can't stop me now. Armored spearhead, man. When that flank, pause for a second, come up for air, look at the map, and go, do I really need to? I don't need right now to push into their backfield. I got other problems in the middle. They're all down there. Let's work around the edges. Let's hold this spot, potentially, and use it to look around and try to figure out where all these guys that are down on the bottom are. Once we clear the bottom out, then we can worry about the Campalama Ding Dangs up top. We got all kinds of fire support with an Udez and a Sioux and an Iron Arnie. Used to be 3 other tanks, although one of them's not quite dead, but he will be soon. I'm not dead yet. You will be soon. You're not fooling anyone. All right. Just another great example. And this was an entirely winnable game. We were in great shape. I'm going to have all kinds of trouble trying to hit this dumb thing. Terrible shot. Completely behind it. And it curved left anyway, so even with lead fire, it's unlikely that would have hit. Sinlac died. Okay, that's okay. 100 still wandering around in the middle, asking every TD up there on the corner, the Aster and everything else to please shoot me. There we go. Down he goes. And now we're in big trouble, right? We do have an even 90, that's nice, but he's futzing around over there with the GW Tiger P. Really, we need him over here finding these guys down the bottom. The other ELC even 90, the enemy one, is ganking our Udez over there. Down goes our GWP, and everything. See, and I have to cry about it. Why did you all keep pushing into their campers? And that is the salient question, and basically the entire reasoning for this entire video. The question is, why do you keep pushing into their campers or their snipers? Sometimes one and the same, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just a position where we're not seeing anybody and we have no real hope of finding it, but by golly, we found that flank, so let's just keep pushing into that bush line. We know where they all are. And see if we can't lose the rest of our hit points and the rest of our tanks, what we just won the flank with. You know why the TD guys sit in the bushes, right? If you think about it, why are they back? Yeah. So they can pick off near-deads who just won a flank, who mindlessly zerg forward, thinking they are Hans Guderian. All right. We lose this one. No, that's another great example right there. And from here now, we're on our back foot once again. We have kind of worse tanks for what we're trying to do. The enemy team's going to have to do something stupid. And I believe... Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they do trash us pretty well. We just timestamp forward. Yeah, everything's going poorly at this point. And I get absolutely schwammered by these guys. Total miss and a whiff on that shot. And it's an even 90, an AMX, the Barask, and the Astron Rex. They all show up and kill me. I don't even want to watch it because it just brings up bad memories. Third example, let's go back to the one before just for a second. You'll notice I was one of the last guys alive, and I still ended up with a little over 2,000 damage, which is an okay game overall. I was also still alive in the game, playing the game, attempting to win, whereas the guys who fed the campers and fed the snipers were all back in garage. And I think that it's a case a lot of times of people will get good enough to win their flank like we did over there, and they go, oh man, I can't believe we lost that game. We won that flank, and then my team let me down. My team let me down. Well, that's true for some people, the people who are still alive. Some people on the team let them down. Man, it's great if you learn how to win your flank like that. You work as a team, you understand that particular heavy flank there on El Halouf. You won it, fantastic. But what I'm asking is that, or trying to show, is once that happens, come up for air for a minute and figure out where the next best place to be is, because it's almost never keep on pushing. Almost never. I'm not going to... Actually, I might show you an example. I think I'm going to show you an example at the end of where that's actually true. But I would say that's much less. This game, watch for this. When you start to see this, you will never unsee it. And if you die and sit around and watch some of these games, you'll see this develop nearly every time. And watch the people who counter it. And then check their win rates. They are almost always good players, or players that are starting to figure it out. This one was interesting. We are here on Himmel's Fisherman Baydorf. Take a look at the mini-map down there. There's a IS-3 in the background. Well, we've certainly lost the west flank, and I know this at this point. We're doing okay. I've got 1,900 damage, and we're about to clean up, hopefully, this KV-4, TS-5, and T-34. We have a good force right here, right? We're about to shut down 3 more tanks, even this thing up a little bit more. We have a Forest Spirit and a JT in the middle, sort of controlling that. We're down, we don't have a scout. That hurts. That's going to be a problem. And then we have a Scorpion G back near cap and an FV 207. So let's just watch what happens here. I take the old HE shot from the T-34. Is this the kill or a bounce? There we go. I finally get that guy dead. TS5's getting crushed. We'll come around here and work on this T-34. Didn't quite get him. But I'm watching the mini-map, and I know once we kill this T-34, if we can get him, keep him from going back around the corner, that would be fantastic. And I'm already moving, right? Look at me. I'm turning. I already know where I need to go. I'm going back to cap. Watch the rest of the tanks. Oh, Mr. TS5. We got to deal with this guy first. First thing we're going to do is bounce. That's a bummer. Oh, great. We got a bounce out of him. That's good. I was already on my reload. Let's go here. We'll just kind of aim in on that little weak spot there. He's not even looking at me. Fantastic. He decides to go after the easy damage right there and take a chunk out of the G-SOAR because he already bounced me. And then we've got the G-SOAR, the BZ, and the 50 TP PR. Just watch the minimap. Thanks, Artie. Appreciate that. I'm able to bounce and avoid most shots, but I cannot stop the 316 from the red. Oh, there goes the Scorpion by me. Okay. I guess he didn't like being alone. That I can kind of understand. There goes the 50 TP, the BZ 176, the Scorpion's moving to the middle, the G-SOAR's moving to the middle. We're just timestamp forward. Those guys, oh, the Scorpion. The Scorpion that camped at our cap the entire game, maintain, has rushed forward because he's going to go cap. Man, wouldn't it be nice if he was somewhere back here hiding, waiting for people to come back and get spots for him. Or maybe he was up there with the JT, the 1008. They see me moving in here. I have no choice but to push in and try to make this happen. And wouldn't this have been nice if I had a couple more heavies with me to share the hit point pain? This is a bummer. I did not realize the ground was so high here. I actually don't have good shots on these guys. And I'm hoping that the three up top are going to give me some help. All right, there goes one. Let's go ahead and dodge down. Really, I kind of screwed this up. What I should have done, but I only have 8 seconds. I wanted to go low and come up high, but I just felt like, you know what? Unable to do that right now, and I make a massive mistake right here. My assumption was the RHM was on the cap, and it's the Sturv. So I don't look at the minimap and I go, ooh, I'm just going to go ahead and reset this guy. Woohoo, look at the reset. No reset, dopey. He's not on the cap. So, you know, sometimes even when you're doing the right thing, you do the wrong thing, and I get freaking zapped right there, all right? And there's our guys. I don't know what the Scorpion G... maybe he's flanking. Maybe he's decided to make a massive counterclockwise maneuver right there, and he's going to be very clever going all the way around the map. I don't know. But the 50 TP and the BZ-176 would have absolutely loved to have both of them back here because this is actually a near-run thing in terms of getting them off the cap. I'm not going to go ahead and show you the whole thing. We end up losing this, but it is extremely close. Now, there is a slight argument for them getting on the cap and attempting so that if we get a couple resets, we could win. That doesn't happen because there is somebody on the cap we can't see. I believe it's the T-92 is in a bush or just sitting still, and I didn't have the spotting range to see him, and neither does the JT prototype nor the Forest Spirit. And because we don't have another couple tanks in here to get closer, you know, what would have been great is I come out here and spot, and the BZ and the other guy go low, and then they get a little closer, and they start poking hole down. With those two snipers up there, it's over, man. We win this easily. But we don't, because two guys decided to continue to push into the cap when our cap was in trouble. All right. Last example of what a push should look like. What is an example of when you would continue going? All right, Himmel's Mannerheim line. Take a look at this particular minimap situation. Yes, we are not necessarily winning the north, but we still have a Char with eyes. We have an IS-6 and a Scorpion G. There's a 54 Mod 1 in a good position and a T-28 prototype with shots across them as well. So they're giving them heck right there. We have won this flank by a bunch. It is a 5-to-1 battle. We have some decent hit points and tanks coming up over here. We have a 263, which is isolated. He's in trouble. We have a WT that's going to have to expose himself to take shots. The only thing we don't see right now is a Sturv and a Burr and a T-103. So let's see how this thing develops. Now, I'm still looking at this with a critical eye and saying, I may need to go back. Let's just keep an eye. If they quickly break through the Char and run over the IS-6 and the Scorpion, but look at the amount of hit points and people we got right here. We crushed that dude. The 53, 55 gets a piece of me. And now we keep pushing. And the beauty part about having this many tanks pushing in a situation like this is, even with the Sturb up there, and it looks like the Brosk has been spotted as well as the 103. No, he hasn't been seen yet. The Sturb and the 103. We can share those hit points, right? Now, you have to be careful because if they get enough shots and you go slow enough, yeah, they could wipe you out. So it's not a case of just mass Zerg is the only answer. But continue to watch the mini-map. This is absolutely a situation where we got this dicked, something. We got this under control, fellas. Look at the bird. He's making a runner. See if we can put a shot on him. Terrible shot. Got the palsy. Honestly, what I should have done there, to be quite honest, is continue to push. Yeah, I would have loved to have got those hit points, but it was a long-range shot, kind of a derpy gun, and I needed to get my tank up and underneath the guns right here. I didn't pay for it, which is good. So we're just going to push on in here. And look, nope, there was no breakthrough on the other side. We had it sorted out. We essentially neutralized one flank and won the other, and it can be tricky at times. I love it when people refuse to give you the hit points and back into someone else. That's always the best. And now let's just clean up on Al 2. So that's basically what it looks like for a continuing push. Sometimes it's a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you're rolling the dice a little bit. You might have looked at that and go, ooh, IS-6 Scorpion G. What if that Bat Chat gets in there and ganks one of them and he's being followed up by the rest of these guys? And you got to watch for that. If I was continuing across this flat over here and I saw them get tore up, then I might do a 90 left or go all the way back around and attempt to go back to cap. Sometimes you make a decision, it looks like the right decision at the time, and that decision changes based on further information, but it didn't. And as of the time I came to the critical spot, which is right here on the ramp, it still looked good, and I liked that we had so many guys pushing. This team was really kind of clicking on all cylinders and together, and we just rolled up into them. How nice was it that there was a Taurus, T-30, and TL-7 all pushing with us? Really, the only Camp Alama Ding Dang was the Prototype and the Scorpion G, but he was doing a nice job on this corner in an outnumbered situation, not getting dead, which is good, and hopefully he got some damage out of that thing. Does he have any kills? Let's find out. Doesn't look like it, but he's still alive, and we had the IS-6, and I guess a couple guys died over there. Maybe the Char Futur was over there or some such. But nice to have 2/3 of your team forward and a good chunk of them all together winning this flank. Also nice that the enemy team didn't send much, and what they did was piecemeal, and we kind of took it down altogether. So there you go, my friends. Guaranteed to improve your game experience, to improve your damage, and to improve your win rate if you're not already doing this. Look for these opportunities. Try to react to them appropriately. If you're not already doing it, think about going back or moving to their flank or simply just not pushing into the campers a little bit more often than you are. And you're going to find yourself giving yourself opportunities to win that you might not have otherwise. You're not going to have an opportunity to win if you push into campers after you win a flank and die halfway through the game. That this is all part and parcel of keep your votes, try to get to the mid to late game. Mid game, win my flank, great. Get to the late game. Put a critical eye on that flank. Put a critical eye on the other flank and decide whether you really ought to be pushing into their campers. Do we need to bring their campers and their guys near the cap and their snipers into the game just yet? If there's active players on the enemy team on the other flank and they're winning, it's probably 9 times out of 10 best to go over there, or at least go to a position where you can support over there and start helping win that other flank or at least neutralize it. Generally, the campers will still be there when you're done with the other guys. That's all I've got today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate your support of the channel. Let me know what you think down below. We will see you.